Hello, everyone. Just testing to make sure everybody can hear me. This is Bruce from NKN. So maybe Yambo and Elon can say a few words, so I make sure that everybody can hear each other.
Hi everyone, this is Yambo, and glad to meet all guys and the kind of space. And we can have a conversation here later, and welcome to read any question about NKN or related things. Thank you.
Hello, this is Elon from NKN. First, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can get started since we have the quorum. So today it's a mid-year NKN AMA. So I think we have quite a bit of feedback from the Telegram and Discord and in general our user community that we need some kind of update, not only about what we have been busy for the last year or so, but also what is coming up for the future. So I think it's very important. So we have the full transparency and also give people a sense of where the roadmap will lead. And I guess today is probably not the best day in terms of price movement, but that's actually even more important, right? So we cannot really control where the market is going, but we can control what we do. So the key point is even with the kind of bear market, if we keep on building the right product and do the right things, I think once the market recover, and then we should be able to kind of get ahead of the market, right? So the key is to not really stay where we are, but try to move forward and with what we are doing today. So I think it's still a good time to talk about what we have been doing and what we are going to do. So I saw there are quite many people already joined. So let's get started. So I think we can actually have a first, let's do it this way. So first we will kind of give everybody an overview, what we have been working on in the last 1 year. So it's more like what we have done already. And then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do for the future. And then we'll open up the floor for questions and about anything like markets and business development and community and etc. So that's kind of the format of today. And it's a new kind of format for us. We have always been doing AMA on video and with Zoom and YouTube, but I think it's Twitter Space is really good format because it can automatically trigger all the people that follow NKN.org. So we already have more than 30,000 followers. So most of them, if they open the Twitter app, they should be able to see that we are hosting a live AMA, and hopefully more of you will be joining. And whoever already joined, thank you for joining. And so again, let me do a very quick intro round, just in case you are new to NKN. So my name is NKN. My name is Bruce. I'm the co-founder of NKN. So I mostly look at the kind of the commercial and business side of the house. And today we also have our two other, our founder, Yambo, and also our co-founder and CTO, Elon. So among the three of us, we should be able to cover many different topics, both from the strategy to technology to business. Okay. So again, thank you for joining, and let's get started. So first, I think I would like to quickly overview what's the products and technology. What have we been doing in the last year or so? So maybe it's best, Elon, you can give us kind of a short overview, what's the mainnet status, and maybe not so much about roadmap yet, but let's talk about what we have done already. So let's keep it a little bit short.
Okay, yeah, sure. I can tell a little bit more about what we have been doing on the tech side. So it will be divided into several sides from the mainnet to, let's say, probably mobile, Unconnect, and other aspects. So for the mainnet, we have been making many small and important improvement. For example, making sure the mainnet is more secure, is more stable, and trying to identify a possible attack surface and solving them through continuous effort. And also we have been working for quite a while on a new protocol that can, from the root side, try to eliminate many possible simple attacks, and which is one of the most important security concern for any decentralized networks. So that's what we have been working on the mainnet side. Also, we have been trying to put some effort on the virtual machine, which I know many people are cares about. But this might be a little bit, this is still like work in progress and might take some time because on the one side, the core functionality of NKN is for like off-chain data transmission. So the EVM does not directly contribute to this feature. And on the other side, if we do it wrong, then virtual machine could introduce some like security issue. So we have to do it right and very careful. So that's why it will take some time. So that's on the mainnet side. First, should I talk about product side yet, or we can leave it for later?
Well, we can start with the products. So in terms of mobile and connect. But I think before that, maybe I have one more comment about the mainnet. Elon talk about things that people can see, but there's also lots of things people cannot see, right? For example, security and privacy features. So I think especially in the DeFi space, and we have heard so many kind of recent news about the different hacks and security holes and stuff like that. So I think for any blockchain project, so security is always the primary kind of focus. So in the past, I have joked with Elon that for our core developers, maybe 5% of the time we are actually developing new features, and 95% of the time we are just fighting off all the attacks and spamming and all those things. So which is kind of true for almost all blockchain projects. So in this aspect, so we have worked with a security researcher over the last year or more than that. And so we do a very in-depth analysis, both from the system level, the protocol level, and code level. And so we try to make sure that NKN, the mainnet, is as secure as we can. And also we have lots of fixes. And whenever we find problems, not so much about security attack, but spamming and other kind of economic attacks. So we find it, and together with the miners and the community developers, and we fix those. So this has been ongoing and in the background, even though it's not kind of obvious to the people use the network, but I think it has been ongoing, and we put a lot of effort and a lot of emphasis on the security on the mainnet.
Okay, but since you mentioned this, maybe I can talk a little bit about the attacks that we have encountered and solved in the past year, right? It has been quite a lot, and I'm pretty sure most people don't know about it unless they look at our code base constantly. So maybe some of you don't know that there are like there are like several attackers trying to attack NKN the mainnet. Of course, they didn't. They weren't successful, but we still identified and fixing the potential issues that they are trying to attack. So, for example, some people are trying to spam like zero-fee transactions, trying to eliminate people from being able to do some convenient stuff without paying the fee, right? So in order to solve this, we have been trying to implement new mechanism for fees, like based on transaction size, not just the transaction fee. And also there are some people trying to DDoS some of the NKN node and trying to make them restart and lost their uptime and their advantage in the mining. So in order to solve this, we have been adding some of the rate limiter based on IP address and trying to migrate, trying to give some rate limiter on some of the relays, on some of the RPCs, and make nodes more stable and kind of more immune to those kind of DDoS attack. There are lots of attackers like this, and we have been constantly trying to find them, identify those issues, and fix them before they utilize those potential issues. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Elon. So next we can go to the product. So I can give a quick overview what we have been doing in the product side, and then Elon can give you a little bit more detail of individual features. So today, I think NKN, the main product is actually the platform or the network itself, right? So, but of course, we also built a few products to kind of not only showcase how to use it, but also kind of to improve the adoption. So one of them is more consumer-facing, called N-Mobile. It's if you haven't used it, it's a very secure and private chat application. So you can imagine it's like a Signal or a WhatsApp or a Telegram, but much more safer because we don't have any servers and everything is kind of, all the messages are encrypted and transmitted over this mesh network over many different paths. So you will not be able to kind of intercept or store it in any other places. So that's N-Mobile. So for the N-Mobile, I think you might not see a lot of updates in the App Store. There are a few of them, but many of the things are really underneath. So we rewrote the private group part to make it more scalable. So that's Elon can talk a little bit more. And then we overall improve the stability of the application, improve the performance, as well as improve the connectivity. I mean, the stability when you're switching from Wi-Fi to cellular, or if you are in roaming, or if you are in a very low quality network, and to improve the stability. And another thing is really exciting. You don't see it, but actually we're working on is we're actually using Ipfs for large file storage. So, because I think previously we can, there are some limitation about how big like let's say a photo you can send to a group, right? So if you have a very large group, because of the kind of secure peer-to-peer nature of the N-Mobile, so it uses quite a bit of bandwidth if you want to send a very large picture to a lot of people at the same time. So we redesigned it, and then the large file would be stored on Ipfs, and then whenever you open it in the mobile, you can go fetch it. So we implement that, and we are actually improving the performance as we speak. So we are running our own gateway to improve the storage and fetching speed. And so those are the kind of the feature you might not see on the surface, but I think it has been working on. And we still are very committed to N-Mobile because we think chat is kind of the future, not only future, I mean, it's the most popular communication platform today, and it will be for the foreseeable future. And we want to be one of the players in this space. Today we are quite small, but I think we intend to grow it from here. So that's N-Mobile.
In terms about N-Mobile, I have some word to say that we have been testing N-Mobile all over the world in the last years and solved tons of bugs in the past 12 months. And we also want to make the, just as Bruce said, we believe that N-Mobile maybe the most safe IM in the world, and we are trying to make the N-Mobile compatible with some other popular IM in future, and also make it even more easier to use them for everyone. So here I'd like everyone to have a try to the most security and safe IM in your side, and we would like you to raise any suggestion or feature you wanted to us, and we'd like to hear that and improve and enhancement the feature of the N-Mobile.
Thank you, Yanbo. Then we can also chat a little bit about the Nkn. So for anybody who just joined or has been here for a while, so we will start with the kind of existing products and the systems, and we talk about what we achieved, and then we'll move on to kind of future plans. Okay, so be patient with us. We'll go through this existing parts, and then we'll talk about the future. So Nkn. So the two products, N-Mobile is consumer-facing, Nkn is still consumer-facing, but quite often we need to work with the enterprise partner. So in our case, so we work with the top 3 tier 1 NAS providers. NAS means a network attached storage. It's like a hard disk, but connected to your Ethernet or Wi-Fi at home. So Synology, QNAP, and Asustor are the 3 major players in this field, and we have commercial agreement with all of them. And the Nkn app is on their Play Store, and you can actually download and use it. So the Nkn is like a freemium service. you have some kind of trial period, but also the main attraction is when you pay for it, you have guaranteed the performance and very high speed and lots of application compatibility. So we have the paid version, which is paid by US dollars or euros or RMB. And then underneath, we convert to NKN mainnet tokens. And then the miners will get the payment whenever a NConnect user is utilizing their mining nodes for this data transfer. So it's a very, it's still in the early stage, but it's a very interesting business model. So that's the kind of product really can bring in the real world revenue, which is in US dollars and euros, RMB into the NKN ecosystem. And then in turn, that money will be funneled back into the miners who will earn additional money on top of the basic mining rewards. So in terms of looking forward a bit, it's not forward so much because it's already undergoing work. So we are working with a few other vendors or open source projects. One of them is TrueNAS. It's one of the largest open source NAS software. And we have Home Assistant, and also we have the Apple HomeKit support coming up. So we want to have, if you have like a home gateway, home hard disk, that can be an ideal place for NConnect. So then you can remotely access and control all your home devices and smart devices and also files in a very secure and private way. Because the main attraction of NConnect compared to today's cloud service or dynamic DNS-based service is we are very secure because NConnect never expose your public IP address or any ports to the external world. So only your client with the right public-private key pair can access that particular file or services. So we believe it is the most secure solution in the world for this remote access. So those are the kind of quick updates on the Mobile NConnect and where we have been working on and where we are today. So Elon, do you have anything to add on these two products?
Oh yeah, sure. So maybe I think before that, I'd like to give a very brief introduction for NConnect because I see that there are some new faces here and some people might not know what NConnect is. But because mobile is easy to understand, right? It's just instant messenger, it's just one sentence. NConnect it's something that you might need, but you don't realize unless you really need it. So basically, NConnect allows you to remotely access any machine in the world, regardless of its network condition. You might ask, why do I need that? It's kind of simple if you are a developer, right? Some of the machines are behind the firewall, and you cannot, when you are outside the firewall, you cannot access it. Or you might have a like home computer or like home NAS device or home Raspberry Pi. When you're outside home, you are not in the same Wi-Fi network, you cannot connect to it. Typically, there are like solutions that opens up your port to the public internet or use some of the third-party relay servers to let you do it. But those are not really the most secure or convenient or cheapest way in the world. But NConnect basically allows you to do it as if all those machines are in the same local network. So basically, as long as you open NConnect on both sides, your computer or like your phone can connect to your remote node or remote machine as if they are in the same local network. And this works with best security in the world, and it doesn't open up any port in the world. Everything is end-to-end encrypted, and nothing is exposed to anyone else except your own node. So it is, I would say, it's very convenient and a safe way for like remote access. Yeah, that's basically what NConnect does. We start with NAS not because it only works with NAS. It actually works with any device as long as it has let's say operating system, Linux, like Windows, Mac OS, whatever. There are also like open source GitHub version on GitHub, and you can try it. There's a free version using the NKN mainnet as relay. There's also a paid version using Tuna where you pay the miners directly for relaying those like encrypted data, and it has much better performance compared to the free version. But you can try with the free version if you just want to do some cool stuff and try it out.
Thank you, Elon. So now I'll have do a very quick update on the community projects, and then we'll move on to the next segment. So we have a few kind of interesting community projects. One of them called Surge. Surge is like a peer-to-peer file transfer kind of protocol that's running on top of NKN. So you can kind of consider it a even better version of BitTorrent, right? So I just asked the Surge developers, and so they said the new version is just around the corner. So the Windows version is tested and ready to release, and the Mac OS version is pending testing, and it's almost ready. So hopefully we'll get them out soon, and then you can enjoy this file sharing service. And the other community projects recently been launched is related to mining. It's called NPool, or new kind of mining pool. So the idea is, because if you're an individual miner, so if you only have a few nodes, it might take a while to get the reward, and it can be not very consistent, because just like Bitcoin mining, right? So it's a statistically you have a probability to win one reward every certain amount of time, but it's not always like that. Sometimes take longer to get, sometimes take shorter to get. So at the end pool, you try to smooth out that kind of variation, so you can get a more consistent income. So that's number one. Number two is also they give you additional kind of easy to manage and monitor. So you can actually use their tools to monitor the performance of your each mining nodes, and also if you need to do an adjustment, you can do it accordingly. So NPool has been quite successful, and they also won the community special award for this year, and they just released the second version of the NPool. And so if you are interested in mining and you don't have lots of resources, maybe you can check out NPool as well. So those are kind of the quick updates on the community, and also related to mining as well. So again, for people just joined or people have been here, so we have talked about the products and technology we have built over the last 1 year, and give you an up-to-date kind of status where we are. And then coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about the future, about marketing and community, and about business development, etc. So do stay tuned. So they will be coming. There will be interesting things like, how about Starlink, right? So it will coming up later. And how about this Ethereum and name service? And they will all come a little bit later segment. Okay. So next segment, we'll talk switch from the technology and products to business development. So I would like to give you an overview where we are in terms of the kind of exchanges and swaps and etc. So this will be very fast. So people might ask, do we want more exchanges? We think we still want more exchanges, not necessarily a lot of new exchanges, but high quality exchanges. For example, in the US, I think we are still targeting Kraken and Gemini, because those will give us additional US dollar on off ramp, and those are very good exchanges. And so I think it's worthwhile to get listed on those, and give the user more opportunity to have better liquidity across different exchanges, and also get better rates. So Kraken and Gemini in the US is what we're targeting. We're still evaluating. We have always been in contact with the Japanese and the Korean exchanges. I think there are lots of kind of regulatory changes in the last 6 months or so. So things are still not really settled down yet. So we are still working with some of our exchanges and in a discussion with them. But the timing might be slightly later, because within those two countries, I think the government and the regulators are still figuring out the best framework for going forward. So those are in terms of exchanges. And then if you look at existing exchanges, some of the news you might know and might not know. Binance, we have the NKN staking, and so also we have referral program. So if you are already using Binance, and I think do check out the NKN staking program and also the NKN referral program, and on our blog. So and the second thing is, we always kind of try to improve the exchange, increase amount of exchanges that can actually handle the NKN mainnet token. Because for our miners, it's a very important requirement, because they need to either sell the mainnet token, or they need to acquire mainnet token if they want to spin up a new node. So the good news is, at least during the last year or so, Swift is a exchange we worked very closely. So they can do crypto to crypto swap very easily. So basically, not only between the NKN mainnet and the NKN ERC20, you can actually swap from NKN mainnet to USDT or NKN ERC20 to, let's say, Ethereum or Tron or any other kind of ERC20 tokens. So they have like hundreds of different pairs, so you can use. So I think that's kind of very useful, because then miner will have additional way of getting the mainnet or selling the mainnet instead of relying on the official swap tool. So another good news is another exchange. Actually, it's the exchange that listed NKN in the very early days, Gate.io. They also now support mainnet NKN tokens as well. So for a very long time, they have been very good in supporting the legacy NKN tokens. Now they are ramping down the legacy one, and now they added the mainnet NKN token. So they should support both ERC20 and mainnet NKN tokens. So if you are a Gate.io customer, you should be able to see that change in your account. So that's kind of the K.io. And then, and also I think for lots of people who are new to NKN, so we now have lots of fiat pairs as well. So Coinbase supports US dollar, euro, and UK British pound. And also Bitfaro in Netherlands support euro, NKN to euro. And Crypto.com, they also support, I think it's 10 to 15 different fiat currency against NKN. So if you want to have trading using the fiat currency, there are lots of different ways, from Coinbase, from Crypto.com, and Bitfaro. So those are the different avenues. So those are the kind of the main update on the business side, and especially regarding the exchanges. So yeah, so I think that's a quick update. So I think I will also give a few quick announcement about what's coming up in terms of marketing and community events. So there are at least 3 events coming. So we are working on something with the CoinMarketCap. So CoinMarketCap is the #1 portal to all the cryptos, because whenever you want to check a price, you want to check out the new token, you go to CMC or CoinMarketCap. So we have good working relationship with the team at CMC. We're supporting some of their newest product, which is actually like a Twitter, but it's kind of live, short format, real-time updates of the news on CMC. And also there might be more coming up next. So that's #1. #2 is we want to soon we'll have the Web 3.0 Tech Talk 2022. So in the last 2 years, in 2021 and 2020, we did 2 Web 3.0 Tech Talks. So we have guests from large projects or very famous Web 3.0 projects like Theta and IoTex, Anchor, and Bluezell, and Ipfs, and Storage, and etc. So these companies, I think, projects, they are all very active in the Web 3.0 space, and they work on different problems. Some work on the storage, like Ipfs and Storage, and some work on the computing side, like Anchor and maybe Akash. And then some working on the networking side, like NKN, and some work on the IoT or smart device side, like IoTex, and some are work on the database, like Bluezell. So we'll come back again this year. So the format will be different. So instead of like a very formal kind of presentation by PowerPoints and etc. So it will be a series of Twitter space talks, like panels, talk about Web 3.0 trust, about DeFi, about the use case and adoption, and about the kind of things that people are interested in Web 3.0. So that is coming up as well. So those are the 2 things in terms of marketing. And of course, we also have updated our style guide. And so you can see we have a new fonts and new graphic design. So you can see some of our banners and monthly reports and also Twitter banners start to kind of adopt this new style guide. So we'll have more consistent kind of look and feel going forward as well. So those are very short updates on the marketing and community side. So now I think it's time for the most exciting part. So about the future. Yeah, actually, we've been busy working on the future. That's not limited to what we are doing today. So that's the reason we are super excited. And so if you're ready, we are going to talk about a few future directions and the roadmaps and things we have been secretly working on, and some of the things we think we are almost there, some of the things we are still in the early stage, and but they are all quite exciting. So I'll start with number one, Starlink and the satellite internet, right? So you have seen from our tweeters and maybe some posts that we have been experimenting and playing with the Starlink for the satellite internet devices for a while, for maybe a few months. So the idea is really to how can we expand NKN? So NKN, when we started, it's called new kind of networks, right? So the idea is to really build a overlay software layer that can utilize all the existing physical infrastructure. So it could be fiber optics, could be Wi-Fi, could be 4G, 5G, but why not satellite? Okay, that's the number one, right? Number two is in our previous effort, the main kind of focus is about how to reuse existing infrastructure. So let's say the network of today, maybe 50% to 60% of capacity is not fully utilized. How can we use it better? So that's the reason we have this NConnect, and we have the NKN, the network sharing, all of this to squeeze out the last bit of efficiency out of the existing network. But at a certain point, so the existing network will be saturated. So we have to build out new networks, right? So that's all about new networks. So I think internet, satellite internet is that opportunity for us to not only rely on existing internet, but also building out new infrastructure. And NKN, we believe we can play a major role there. So that's the reason we are working very closely in this space. So satellite internet have two kind of major benefits. Number one is really it's a global coverage. So instead of working with individual carriers in each country, it's a global coverage, and also it enables kind of anyone in anywhere who used to have very lousy or no coverage that start to have coverage. So that's number one. Number two is also because it's very it's borderless. So NKN, we always say we want to free the bits and let the internet, the information flow. So I think this global network is also truly open. So I think that's another kind of benefits we can utilize to run different applications on top of that can be freely moving. So we actually have a prototype solution already in the works, and we are testing it. And so we will launch a light paper and also a beta testing version by end of this year. So I think we try to be a little bit more thorough to make sure we iron out any technical issues or security issues before officially launch it. But our target is by end of this year, we'll have a brand new product or even a brand new system all by itself coming up by end of this year. So I don't know if Yan-Bo and Yiren, you want to add anything to the satellite internet project.
Yeah, in terms about that, that's an extension of Nkn, and also we plan to do some incentive mechanism in there to encourage people to deploy the satellites link, and also like Starlink or any other satellites network to encourage people to deploy more devices to connect each other. We believe that by using this economical leverage, we can benefit each other in the future. So we will have more detail in the late months and let people know about how it works, and maybe some people can join at the early stage.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll introduce some kind of token incentives mechanism, and also I think there will be a kind of linkage to NKN. So stay tuned. We cannot tell too much yet, but I think it's the most exciting project we have been working on in the last few months. So that's about Starlink and satellite internet. Okay, so that's number one. The second one we have been busy is working on some kind of universal name service. So let's just give a very quick example. So today, if you want to send a message to, let's say, Vitalik, right, vitalik.eth, how do you do that? Of course, you can, if you know programming, you can write a Ethereum transaction and then embed the message in it, which is probably beyond the reach of 99.99.99% of people. So I think we have actually now have a prototype that you can send a message directly to any Ethereum address or ENS name using nMobile. So we don't have to change nMobile, just using nMobile as is, but we put in the Ethereum address or ENS or Ethereum name service. You will be able to send information or message, text message, and images, just like any nMobile application. So that's one step. And in addition, we can also support almost all the Ethereum compatible or EVM compatible chains. So we already implemented a few, three to five other major blockchain that also are EVM compatible. So their names, name service, their address will work the same way on nMobile as well. So again, this is a kind of a first step in the unified name service. Because if you think about beyond that, right? So why we stop at EVM or Ethereum address or Ethereum name service? We can do Bitcoin address, and why not we stop at the kind of crypto? We can actually mapping the WhatsApp ID, a WeChat ID, an email address, or any of those kind of the IDs for messaging, for email, to the NKN, the underneath NKN communication system. So we want to become this messaging service for any blockchain or Web 2 or Web 3. So kind of more universal name service. So that's kind of the thing we are working on. The prototype is already ready, so we should be able to launch by end of this year, and then the more advanced versions will come a little bit later that map to other services I mentioned beyond the EVM and Ethereum compatible address and names. So that's the second one. So I don't know if Elon, you want to chime in to say a few things about the universal name service.
Oh yeah, I want to say something more about it. So just in case you don't know the background yet, so the problem we try to solve here is that currently, if you want to send, NKN is decentralized networking, right? So if you want to send a message through the NKN network to another NKN address, you have to know the recipient like NKN address, which is to most people just a human, that's a human irreadable random string, right? This is kind of most secure, but not most convenient way from the user's perspective, because now you have to know a new irrelevant address for each people. It could be not feasible in some aspect or for many cases. But so what's our solution here? Our solution is that we can map any existing address, decentralized or centralized, to an NKN address. So for example, if I want to send a message to Bruce, instead of using his NKN address, which I cannot remember right now, I can just use Bruce Ethereum address, like bruce.eth, and then the message will automatically be resolved to Bruce NKN address and send a message to him. And then he can receive it in a mobile or in DChat or in any other compatible protocols that utilize NKN as a transport layer. All right. So it not only works for Ethereum, it also works for any other blockchain. It also works for these. It also works for centralized identity like a domain, like an email address or a Twitter address or whatever. So instead of remembering like NKN address for each people, we can just now hide the NKN address from the user and let the user use their existing address to send and receive data. So if you think of like Web 2.0, so in Web 2, we have IP address that is used for transporting, but IP address is hidden from most users, right? People use IP, people use domain, people use email address, people use what kind of identity that is human readable. So same as NKN here. So NKN is meant to be the network layer, or like let's say the IP layer for Web3, and we are our vision is that all different Web3 protocols, product users can use NKN to send and receive data, but NKN address might be just like IP address, might be hidden from the user, although the data is going through the NKN. And if we think a step beyond that, it actually enables something that it's even more exciting, such as cross-chain communication. So currently, for example, if you are a Bitcoin user and my friend is an Ethereum user, and I want to send a message to him in a decentralized way, or well, it's impossible because those chains are isolated, right? But now, if NKN is used as a transport layer, and we have all different address from all different chains mapped to the NKN address, then a user from the Bitcoin can send a message to a user from Ethereum just using the Ethereum address, and they have no problem for communication because NKN is served as a transport layer here, and yeah, it's kind of like the network layer for the Web3 and Web3, and it just it's a central hub for all different blockchain projects, or even like centralized services that can enable the communication across them. Yeah, this is something that I would say very strategic and meaningful in the long term, and we should be able to see it and try it in mobile very soon. Yeah. So Bruce, yeah, that's all I want to talk about the universal name service here. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's beyond the universal name service.
Yeah.
It's more like a universal communication service, right?
I'm not sure if we haven't decided the name yet. The universal name service sounds like a pretty tech name, and I'm not sure many people can understand what it means just by looking at the name. So we might come up with a better name, but yeah, that's the name we are using for now internally.
Okay, so I think I think from the team, this is kind of the update, both about what we have done in terms of products, the business and the marketing, and also about the future directions. So I think once these two new directions are launched, then we'll update the roadmap to reflect that. So that's the reason we're not updating roadmap yet, because otherwise you will show the some of the details of the two projects. So maybe I'll open up to any questions. I think there's a chat functionality in the Twitter space, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Oh, Bruce, maybe I have one more thing to add here. So I forgot to mention that for our Nkn roadmap, what we are working right now is something very important and useful. That is, we are enable Nkn to support UDP protocol. So currently, Nkn only works with TCP, but some of the IoT applications or protocols utilize UDP for real-time transmission, which Nkn cannot support now. But that's something we are working on, and we have already having some it should be available soon within this year. And yeah, user can use Nkn to transmit UDP data, and it supports applications that utilize UDP, and miners can get rewards for relaying data in UDP protocol as well.
Okay. Thank you, Elon. So maybe another question related to the Ethereum. I think you already touched upon the EVM, and you said because of security and other kind of concerns, you want to spend more time working on the kind of Ethereum compatible solution. I think one of the kind of the thought is because we don't want to NKN have our own mainnet, right? We don't want it to become kind of island itself. So that's the reason have a bridge or have some kind of connectivity toward the EVM or Ethereum compatible chains will be a very useful feature. And also of course, now DeFi is kind of in the winter time, but I think the DeFi still have its own life, and I think there will be DeFi 2.0 or 3.0, whatever you call it. So I think there are lots of things we could do for for DeFi, the next generation of DeFi. So a few things we have been considering is like a universal messaging services. So enable like a cross-chain kind of message communication and high-speed trading across different chains and some kind of publisher and subscriber service. So those are the things I think we can add value and also become an enabler or an infrastructure for the next generation of DeFi. So that's one topic that people have been asking, and we still believe that the next DeFi will be much more interesting, and we want to be part of it. And also we think that there are still lots of potential to disrupt Wall Street by the next generation of DeFi. So those are kind of some of the future directions and roadmap. So I think there are a few questions in the chat. Let me see. So one of the question is, are you guys close to any partnerships with Starlink? So I can take that question. So Starlink is a big company, and SpaceX, SpaceX is a company, and you saw the announcement between SpaceX and T-Mobile yesterday about 5G in the sky. So right now we are working on the side way, in a compatible way, because I think we are just too small for SpaceX today. But I think once we, so with a Starlink or any satellite, so we're not limited to Starlink, right? So we want to work with any satellite internet company. So the first step, we will have, let's say, a solution side by side with the existing solution. So let's say you have a dishy and the antenna, you have a modem. So we probably will have another box sitting right next to the modem. So initially, so that's kind of the first step. The second step, we will do higher integration with the modem, the router, right? So the modem itself is more satellite specific, but the router is more internet protocol based. So then we'll work with the OEMs and the set-top box vendors to have a higher integration of the NKN or the NKN solution together with the satellite communication. And then if we look even beyond that, I still see that maybe one day we will be able to launch our own satellites and become our own providers. And so a truly community-owned, community-funded, and community-run kind of satellite internet company. So I think that's definitely our dream, but will come in steps. So right now, no, we don't have any official partnership with Starlink yet.
Yeah, for this question, I have some word to say that we'd like to co-work with Starlink as the first typing for this idea, but that doesn't mean Starlink is the only one we can work with. We also have any other satellites company to negotiation, to co-work, to make them work with this idea.
Right. Okay, the next question is, are you guys in talks with any other big crypto projects? So I think it depends. So for example, we are going to have this Web 3.0 Tech Talk 2022. So we'll have a few sessions. So we will have the projects I mentioned before. They're all big projects, right? So like Theta, LTEX, and Anchor. So they are big projects on their own. Of course, we can always reach out to other big projects also active in the Web 3.0 space, especially related to infrastructure. And I think we are happy to work with any company and in this space. Okay, so the next one, let me try to find another one. So, this is another question. When are we going to swap all the NKN tokens to mainnet? So there are people asking why we keep on ERC20, right? So if your mainnet is so good and already running for more than 2 years, or actually 3 years, why don't switch everything to mainnet? It's very simple, Coinbase, because Coinbase only support ERC20. And so they are the largest exchange in the world, in addition to Binance. So, because even large projects, you can go look up. Coinbase has not supported any mainnet for any projects for a while now. So even projects that are 10, 20, 100 times our size. So it's not very realistic to get rid of ERC20 right away. That's number one. Okay, so that's just a Coinbase limitation. Number two is we find actually keeping both ERC20 and mainnet actually have some benefits. So the benefits is on the ERC20 side, you can really utilize lots of the kind of interesting innovations in the DeFi space, and so you can do kind of hedging, for example, like some of our products, you take the money in fiat, like US dollars or euros, but you pay out in NKN mainnet token, right? So the mainnet, well, we don't have a DeFi solution for the mainnet token yet, but for the ERC20, you can use existing DeFi protocols to do, let's say, like a foreign exchange, like a hedging. So then you don't get your income or your profitability won't be impacted by the fluctuation of the NKN token price, right? So those are just quick examples why ERC20 is still very important, and also with the upcoming new projects like in satellite internet, etc., we might. I'm not going to tell the details, but we might utilize the ERC20 and NKN token for different purposes, for let's say staking or other purposes. So I think with that in mind, so instead of reinventing all the kind of the new tools and solutions for the mainnet, I think it's good to utilize what is already built in the ERC20 or the EVM compatible world. So that's kind of the main reason we are not going to swap everything to mainnet anytime soon. Okay, let's see if there's anything else we have. Oh yeah, so this is a good question. It's possible, is this possible in future to build a website decentralized without servers by NKN networks? So maybe Yiren or Yanbo, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So I would say this way, a website. So basically, I would say yes, it's possible, and it has been demonstrated a while ago, maybe two years ago, by the community. Basically, to build a website, you need two things. The first thing is you need a storage backend that can store whatever your website is, right? That backend currently can be IPFS or some other decentralized storage system. And the second part is that when someone wants to visit the website, there needs to be a way that you can access the website in a decentralized way. And that's where the NKN can do its part. So yeah, as long as there are several ways to do it. Either the visitor has a small software or maybe a browser extension installed with NKN protocol supported, or use maybe we can use a gateway. But really, gateway is not a real decentralized solution, right? We all know that. So let's just focus on the first one. Yeah. So as long as a visitor has something installed that support the NKN protocol, and then yeah, it can fetch the website from the backend and display it to the visitor. Yeah, and this can even be done without a backend. So if you want to host a website on your computer, and you don't want to expose the public IP address of your computer, or if you are behind the firewall, you can do it. You can just start some kind of a daemon with NKN protocol innate, and your computer will be served as the server for that website, and the visitor can use NKN protocol to fetch the data from your computer without knowing your IP address and without exposing your port to the public, and then display it. Yeah, it's definitely doable.
Yeah, so I think we have been thinking about this one because I think we already have the kind of the communication functionality. And we have a little bit of kind of computation, like for example, we have lots of these microservices running on in addition to the mining nodes, right? So those are kind of computing services. Adding kind of some storage or caching solution will be also interesting. For example, like recently we've been working on NMobile. How can we use IPFS to store large files? But we still think that there might be beneficial to have some kind of CDN or content delivery network or caching mechanism on the NKN side. So in addition to what Elon said about hosting website, I think this content distribution or content caching might be something that the miners might be able to support and also earn additional kind of money income for it. But yeah, so we're exploring different kind of decentralized storage solutions, lightweight ones, because we don't want to reinvent IPFS, which is too complicated, but we might be able to adopt something lightweight, for example, just an IPFS gateway, right? Or something even lighter than that. Okay.
Yeah,
please.
That I said I have been said I wanted and gambling to Unmobile. No, I haven't said that. In fact, the Unmobile is focused on the communication, and we want the Unmobile is more security and more focused on the privacy, and not focused on the gambling. Yeah, maybe there are other tools to do that, but not Unmobile. And there are another question is that can we add decentralization, future trading Nkn? So that doesn't depend on Nkn itself, because Nkn is doesn't trading platform. But I think maybe Uniswap, if Uniswap support this feature, it will be support automatic in future. But that depends on Uniswap or any other decentralization swap platform, but not depends on the Nkn itself. So that's some clarify about these two questions.
Okay, thank you, Yanbo. There's another question from the Telegram by Tom. So did NKN have any solid idea regarding the DeFi usage of the network, or are you just planning to assist later down the road after seeing how the market changes over the next year or so, right? So I think both. So we do see what is going on in the Web 2.0, sorry, the current kind of DeFi wave, and also looking at what kind of future needs of the next generation of DeFi. We already have a few kind of concrete ideas. The universal name service, I think, is one, because if you want to do any cross-chain kind of communication, you definitely need some kind of cross-chain communication mechanism. So be it a kind of end user to end user communication, or smart contract to smart contract communication, or between the user and the smart contract. And it could be also kind of subscribe and publish a kind of a mechanism. And all of them are kind of essential services to any kind of cross-chain kind of DeFi services. So I think that will, and especially now, lots of DeFi is not just one protocol, right? So you actually need to talk to a few different protocols to build a kind of like a compound product out of it. So I think this will be more and more important. So at least that is actually pretty clear. And we know we can help and add value and become a critical infrastructure for that. If there's any other new use cases for DeFi for the next future, we don't know. Then we have to look and see. But for what we can see is the few things I just mentioned before. All right, I think it's almost 2 o'clock, and I think the questions already kind of slowed down a bit. So I think it's time to wrap up. So for anybody who actually join late or join the middle or just come online, so let me just quickly recap. Okay, we will probably do because this is recorded, so we'll have snippets later on to share as well. So we talk about what we have achieved and done in products, marketing, and also the business side for the last year or so. And also we point at 2 exciting new directions we are taking. So one is the satellite internet project, and the other is the universal name service that can enable, on a very high level, enable you to send a message from your Ethereum address to your buddy's Bitcoin address, or send to your grandma's mobile phone number, all through the NKN network. So that's So I think we have these two exciting new directions coming up, and both of them have prototypes and working prototypes. So we should be able to launch by end of this year. So then we'll update our roadmap, and there will be not only just products but also token incentives, especially related to the satellite internet project. So there will be very exciting new incentives coming up. So those are the things we want to talk about today, and that's a wrap. And so if you have more questions, feel free to ask us on Twitter. You reply to our NKN.org official Twitter handle, or you can post messages in Telegram. But Telegram, sometimes the question gets kind of overwhelmed by other things. So yeah, and so we hope to have more of this casual chat in the future as well. And especially, for example, the Web 3.0 Tech Talk is coming up. And we have lots of good speakers coming up from IPFS, from our text, from our friends in Theta, Anchor, and Brazil, etc. So stay tuned, and so we'll keep in touch. So Yanbo and Elon, do you have anything else to say before we close this the AMA?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone to join, and maybe we can have this conversation regular and communication each other in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for their time and participation. And yeah, let's stay tuned and wait for more good stuff coming.
Okay, thank you. And for now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.